Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Affirmation Addict podcast. My name is Pyle, and today we are talking all about beliefs. In the manifestation world, in the spiritual space, beliefs, reprogramming beliefs, rewiring your beliefs is probably one of the most popular topics. But if you are like me, and when you first heard that term, you were like, what does that even mean? How do I do that? This episode is for you. I want to talk you through what we all, including myself, mean by when we're saying reprogram your beliefs and why it is such a popular recommendation. I fully stand by it. And once I started to understand what beliefs are, how they're formed, it really started to make sense to me. So this episode is a little bit more educational in terms of what are your beliefs, giving you kind of some examples, because I find that when you understand your manifestation principles, when you understand why someone is asking you to reprogram, why is someone asking you to write down your affirmations? Why are we talking about visualizing? Like when you understand why and it finally clicks, because I think everyone tries to explain why in some way or form, but everybody explains it a little bit differently. So I hope if you still don't fully resonate or completely understand or are like, oh my gosh, yes, I get it, in the space of beliefs, I hope this episode can serve as what you need, because I feel like your beliefs are probably the most foundational part of the mental work when it comes to manifestation. And as I share a lot about, manifestation is not only mental, but it's mental, emotional, energetic, physical, and spiritual. There are 5 elements. We are all multifaceted. That's why only affirmations might not work for you. That's why only somatic healing and EFT tapping might not work. That's why only Reiki might not work. It's a beautiful, perfect kind of recipe of all 5 of those for your unique vibrational makeup. And beliefs are very, very mental. It's all in our head. And I think it's probably one of the most interesting things to understand because it's so simple, but we all talk about it. And I will explain it from my best understanding from all the little books I've read and research I've done. So I hope this is helpful. And I want to tell you how to rewire your beliefs and what that process actually looks and feels like, because it's kind of unexpected. At least for me, it was. So hopefully this helps. Okay. So, what are our beliefs? Our beliefs are literally just facts, statements that we individually believe to be true. The sun being yellow is a belief, because my color of yellow might be different than your color of yellow. But the fact that you believe that the sun is yellow is a belief. The best way I can explain what is and isn't a belief is that everything that you have an opinion about, everything that you have a perspective about, everything that you believe to be true, like whether it is someone hurt you or someone not, every single thing is a belief. Every thought you think is rooted in a belief. Every feeling you experience is a reaction to a certain belief. So your beliefs are actually the foundation. Now, beliefs versus thoughts are 2 different things. Your beliefs are kind of rooted in your subconscious mind versus your thoughts are rooted in your conscious mind. So your beliefs are like your value systems, who you think you are, how you believe the world works, your perspective on things, all of the little filters that you look at your life through, those are your beliefs. Your thoughts, on the other hand, is almost like a mental rehearsal of those beliefs. So your thoughts and your beliefs are connected, but just like your emotions are a response to your beliefs, your thoughts are you articulating your beliefs. Your thoughts are different ways that you articulate your beliefs, and not all of them are true. Similarly, not all of your beliefs are true, but they are true to you. Let me repeat that part again because I think that can be confusing. So, your beliefs, everything is a belief. Is that food spicy? Yes, that's a belief. Is making money hard? That's a belief. It might be true for you, it might be false for somebody else. A belief is anything that you believe is true, versus a thought is your way of articulating that belief. And both of them are not are not like undeniably true or false, but they are true for you specifically. So your beliefs will feel like truths to you. Your a belief could be, I look better in the color pink and I look bad in the color blue. That is a belief, it's an opinion, it's a perspective, it's the way you see yourself. So the best way to explain it is I think everything is really a belief, or everything is rooted in a belief. If it doesn't feel like if it's a belief, it's a belief being articulated. So maybe you're like, well, I don't think that me thinking food is spicy is a belief. Well, then that's a belief being articulated through a thought. In my opinion, they're honestly pretty similar. And for the sake of the simplicity of this conversation, let's call them the same thing right now, because I think they're really similar. So your belief system, the way it was formed, your predominant belief system, your subconscious mind is almost like your coding for the world, like your hardwiring. Imagine like a computer and you have a software that you're trying to create the code for. Your belief system is the coding of that software, and the way that software runs is the way your life runs, because your life is a response to your belief systems. It is a direct reflection of your belief systems, and it is constantly evolving according to your belief systems. Your primary belief system, your primary programming, your primary hardware was formed when you were from the ages 0 to 7. So most of your beliefs are from that young version of you, which you had less control over. Your caretakers, your parents, the people you were around, the things that your parents were talking about, that is actually what was forming your belief systems. That's where you learned as the programming. And now you have more awareness and you're like, well, I don't love all of that and I want to change some of it. That's the reprogramming that you are setting out to do, is you're trying to set out to reprogram your 0 to 7-year-old version of programming the way your parents were at that time. That's the programming that you are actually really working on unlearning or relearning. And the reason it is so important to understand that is because I think it can be so easy to judge ourselves on this journey of rewiring our beliefs, because you're like, why do I have a belief that I'm not worthy? And it's our perspective. Even if something happened to us, even if someone treated us so poorly, it is the meaning we assign to it. It is the truth that we created with it. Our belief systems are up to us, and they can be changed at any point. And you know, the really cool thing is your beliefs, the way they're created is through repetition. That is really it. Like, it is repetition and maybe a little bit of evidence. But more than anything, it's repetition, because 0 to 7 is the age of repetition, right? Like, you hear things over and over and over again. Like, so when your parents were like, don't do this, or I won't give you a chocolate, you imagine that if you are going against someone's rules, you're not going to be successful. And how does that permeate into so many things? Even though your parents were literally just trying to get you to eat more food, it turned into a meaning and a story you created about yourself. So it's not your parents' fault. It's not your fault. It's just the way you process that situation as a little child and how much it's perpetuated itself. So I think the most important thing when you're looking at your beliefs and reprogramming them is to not judge anybody, no blame, because it doesn't serve us. Even if there is a deserving blame, I just don't play that game. I don't think it raises anything. I don't think it propels me forward. I think it holds me back. So I just don't play any blame game to myself or to whoever influenced that belief system. Like I said, even if they are worth blaming, I don't think it helps in this situation, because I'm not saying all actions are warranted or justified, but I don't think blame helps when you're trying to take control over your belief systems. So with repetition, if you heard 100 times that the sun was green, you would believe, actually 100,000 times probably, you would believe that the sun was green. If you heard you are so loved, you are so worthy 100,000 times as you were growing up, you would probably believe that. Now, is that normal communication from 99% of us? No, we don't do that. That's just not the way our society works. That's not the way we parent necessarily. And who am I to say, right? I'm not a parent. I have no idea. But from my understanding of how beliefs are created, this is the stuff that actually makes a difference. When we're little, we're being parented, we're being taught how to live in the world. So much of that is setting boundaries. It's saying no, it's holding back, it's don't scream, it's how do you behave. And think about how those different things actually will perpetuate into different areas of your life as you grow up. In that context, as a parent child relationship, it makes perfect sense. But what I don't think we realize is how much that creates different rifts in different areas of our life that are nearly unrelated as we grow older. And I actually have been observing this a lot with my niece and my nephew. Just the things I say to them, I'll say things and I'm like, oh my God, that's like completely opposite of like what I want it to come off as, but I'm trying to like help them move forward. I'm trying to like make sure they're safe. Like it's all with good intentions, but some of the stuff I say, I'm like, this is not what I'm trying to say. And it's like, it's tough. And I know whenever we have our own kids, like this is going to be like probably a whole new phase of Affirmation Addict where I talk about just like parenting and all of these different things as I learn too. But your beliefs are primarily created through repetition of words, repetition of scenarios, repetition of exchanges of energy, and realizing that that's the reason why we repeat beliefs that serve us. The biggest thing that I think a lot of us don't understand is your beliefs are completely unique to you. Two people could be in the exact same situations, aka siblings. Me and my brother have completely different experiences. We have completely different beliefs on topics that we grew up the same with. Our parents probably parented us the same with, but why do we see them differently? Just because that's how we perceived it. That's your unique energy playing a role in your belief system. So my brother, right? He isn't nearly as like emotionally insecure as I was. I was so emotionally insecure and so dependent. What's the difference between that? I don't know. Maybe it was that I'm the younger sibling and I needed his emotional support. Whatever it is, right? Like, but our beliefs are completely unique to us, and certain situations, most likely in your childhood, are contributing to some of those deeper rooted beliefs. So, what's important in belief work is one, not blaming, two, realizing that no one can tell you your belief except you, which is the hardest part. And I, in my guide, have done my best. So if you don't know what guide I'm talking about, it's my step-by-step guide to manifesting as a lifestyle, where I literally walk you through my entire manifestation process, teaching you the mental, emotional, physical, energetic, spiritual side of manifestation, while also rewiring your beliefs and teaching you how to identify your own beliefs, because no one can tell you what your beliefs are. Only you know it. And it's so tied to specific moments and memories and circumstances that were in your childhood and your upbringing, even later down the line, different things that happen. But the most formative years for us are ages 0 to 7, and no one else can tell you what that is. So you can't borrow. Well, I mean, you can borrow other people's beliefs. You can borrow other people's affirmations, even, but they're only going to hit the hardest when they are truly your own. And that's the process I take you through in the step-by-step guide. If you're interested, I'll link it in the show notes if you want to check it out. It's $67. My literal entire manifestation philosophy. It is absolutely life-changing. So if you want to check it out, you totally can. But in terms of what the process is of how a belief is formed, it's pretty dang simple. It's you were born, you were being bombarded with other people's thoughts, beliefs, circumstances, and your own circumstances and perspectives, and you formed those beliefs through the repetition of being exposed to those scenarios. Now, we're here to talk about reprogramming. I just spent 15 minutes talking about how your beliefs are formed. So, how do you unlearn if things took that many years to cement into your soul and into your mind? How do we reprogram that? Reprogramming is done just the same way, through repetition, which is why we all ask you to repeat your affirmations and get consistent in your spiritual practice. It's the repetition of it. The repetition is where the magic lies, and I will never stop saying that. However, the best process for you to actually reprogram your beliefs is to reflect, identify, take inventory of what your beliefs are and what beliefs are forming and seeping through. And it's so much reflection, so much introspection, and finding time and space to actually do that through journaling, through meditation, all of the techniques. Nothing is revolutionary here. It's honestly just setting aside and prioritizing the actual doing of it. And the thing is no one can do that for you. No one can speed up that process for you that much. Like at one point you're going to have to come face to face with it, and we resist that naturally. It's uncomfortable. It's very identity kind of crumbling, because you're tearing your whole world apart. You're tearing your internal world completely down, and that is so shocking for us to experience. So it can be really nerve-wracking to do that. So if you resist doing the work in quotes, any of this work, it's a very normal thing. And you have to play that mental dance with yourself and say, okay, I'm going to do this work and I'm going to get through it also. The next thing after reflecting is you're going to identify what you want to reframe and how you want to reframe that. That's a whole process in itself, identifying what are those beliefs, what are the opposites of those beliefs, and what's the belief that you want to replace it with that you can really find truth and validation in and alignment in, and how is that actually propelling you forward? And then it's repetition. So you're going to repeat it. You're going to repeat it mentally. You're going to repeat it out loud. You're going to repeat it in the way you show up. It's not just only repeating it as an affirmation, it's repeating it through your actions. It's how would the version of me who believes this act? And asking yourself that question and distinguishing that there's a difference between who you are now and who you want to be, but knowing that you can tap into both of those. I know this is a little bit more kind of advanced, so to speak. And if you need help doing this and you need that like step-by-step guidance, grab the guide. The guide walks you through this. It teaches you how to do this. But if you've been listening to my stuff for a while and you feel pretty confident, please try this. Like, give yourself the permission to go through this process of reflection, reframing, and repeating. That's the process. It's only one more step than how your beliefs were formed. Basically, your beliefs were formed through repetition and choosing to believe it. And now it's reflect, reframe, and repeat again. However, when you're on the journey of reprogramming your beliefs, which is a huge part of manifestation, stepping into that, you are going to be confronted and given hundreds of opportunities to really practice the belief. And I think that's the most discouraging part when you're on it and speaking so rawly. Like when you are working so hard to navigate a belief. Say your belief is around money, right? You want to believe that you are actually abundant. And right now you believe that you are so unabundant. You will be the universe and just the way energy works and the way that you can finally start to embody a belief is by actually practicing it. And what is practice? Practice is being handed a situation where you don't believe it at all and realizing, how do I actually believe this? You're being given opportunities to practice choosing to believe, not your default belief, but choosing that new one. That's the biggest part of the process that I think a lot of people get stuck on, get discouraged on, and feel like they're not making progress, even though it's the biggest evidence of progress you could ask for. When you're being handed multiple keyword chances to practice your new belief, practice choosing consciously a new belief, you're doing it right. And it will feel very uncomfortable. You will most likely have the gut reaction to be like, oh my gosh, I'm doing all this work, it's not working. But in reality, it is just another opportunity for you to practice actively choosing that belief. That's why they say when everything isn't going your way, your manifestation is probably right around the corner. It's because practice that belief one more time, and it could be the last time you're being forced to practice it before you can embody it fully in your world. And I think that's the biggest thing when you're reprogramming beliefs that all of us have experienced. I'm sure you can relate, where you're working on reprogramming something, you're choosing a new affirmation, except all the evidence is pointing towards the opposite. And you're like, what the heck is going on? You're being given the opportunity to choose your belief in that moment. You get to choose the old one or the new one. So what really helps me in that situation, because it is the most kind of mind numbing, confusing thing to experience. And it can be really tough, is like kind of label the person, the version of you who didn't believe it and the version of you who does believe it, because then you can kind of channel them. Like, for example, you can name one version, kind of going back to the money example, like unabundant, and you can name the other one abundant, whatever. Or you can get more creative, like you can give names like pile and I don't know, higher version of pile, like however you want to name it, but like realizing it's two distinct versions of yourself and you are the observer. So realizing, so it's like if you're the observer, on the left hand side there's unabundant you, and on the right hand side there's abundant you. How would unabundant you act, and how would abundant you act in this situation? And in that moment you get to choose, because your beliefs are the foundation of your thoughts. They're the foundation of your emotions. They're the foundation of your actions, all three of which are so important on your manifestation journey. So you're going to be given opportunities to practice how to mentally feel that belief, emotionally feel that belief, and physically embody that belief. It's all going to happen, and it can feel really unnatural at first. And that unnaturalness is so normal. And if you can remind yourself that it's an indicator of your growth, it'll make it a lot easier. It won't be fully easy. It might feel new. It might not feel comfortable right away. But when you can keep coming back to your practice of choosing this new belief, even if it feels a little bit difficult at first, that's okay, because the more and more you do that, the more and more you're reminding yourself and kind of unstitching and restitching your belief system and creating that new version of yourself. It's like when you rip off the band-aid, right? Like when you're letting a wound heal, you have to kind of let it scar. You can't peel the scar off. You can't mess with the scar tissue. It has to kind of come to the surface and then settle. That's kind of what it feels like when you're rewiring beliefs. Like it feels tough. It feels just really fresh. And as you go through it, it's going to feel like it's actually processing and becoming part of who you are. It is a transition, and realizing that the work you're doing is intense work. And I know you guys are already doing that work. It's intense, and you're not alone, and you are doing it. You are in this process. So use this podcast as your little guide to really work through and recreate your own beliefs. And like I said, if you need help doing that, if you want a little bit of assistance, if you want this all kind of explained with action steps and everything, you might love the guide. So I invite you to check that out. It's going to be in the show notes as my step-by-step guide to manifesting as a lifestyle. And you're capable of reprogramming your beliefs all on your own. And actually, you're the only one who can do it. So try it out, give yourself credit through it, and be gentle with yourself as you do it. All right. I love you. I hope this episode was inspiring and gave you a good foundation on how to actually reprogram your beliefs and what the process can actually look and feel like, because you are not crazy if it feels daunting sometimes. And you'll have days like that, and you get to keep practicing. It is an honor, actually. So I hope you can start to see it that way and continue reprogramming to become even better versions of yourself. So I love you, and I will see you next week. Bye.